Welcome, participants. Welcome to the Dutch parallel session, which is called Toolbox of the Tunnel Owner. Let me introduce myself. I'm Salle van der Woude, President of the Royal Dutch Tunneling Society, and I have the honor to host this parallel session. Today, in this parallel session, we have 4 presentations, and I will do it in the order of presentation. The first one will be Niels, Højgaard Pedersen. The second will be Brenda Berghout. Willy Pelen will do the third presentation, and Arnoud has the honor to have the last presentation, and I will shortly introduce them. Niels Højgaard Pedersen is head of the bridge department of the Danish Road Authority, and he is responsible for the maintenance and operation of 2,500 civil structures, amongst which I am correctly 9 tunnels, and he will give a presentation on the structural health analysis of the Limfjord tunnel. And Brenda Berghout, who is a civil engineer at Tech, she will give a presentation on the process of the structural health analysis as it is done within COB. And Willy Pelen, he is the Associate Business Director Infra at Knowledge Institute TNO. He will give a presentation on an information model that is developed to improve the maintenance and also to give a prediction on maintenance, so to increase predictability on the maintenance of different tunnels. Arnoud Opdenkelder is project manager at the municipality of Amsterdam, and he is responsible for the refurbishment project of the Piet Hein Tunnel. And this is done in a special type of contract, and he will explain the strategy which the municipality of Amsterdam developed to procure tunnel refurbishment projects. I do not know my time, and if I have some time left, I will talk a little further. I see that it is time for the first presentation of Niels Højgaard Pedersen. Niels, please go ahead. Oh,
Thank you.
One thing that I need to say. People, I have this laptop in front of me, and if you have questions, please type them down. I will read them, and after every presentation, there is a short time to shift to another presentation. But if there's some time left, I will pick out a few questions and ask them to Niels Højgaard Pedersen. Thank you, Niels. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I brought my own tunnel, and I'm going to tell you about the structural health analysis. But it is actually also a story about the tunnel manager's task in the past, in the present, and in the future. But just a few words about the Danish Road Authority. We have approximately 3,800 kilometers of highways. It's just 5% of the total road network in Denmark, but we carry almost 50% of the traffic. The tunnel we are going to talk about today is in the red circle up there, and you can see it's a bottleneck to the north. And now here we are in the Limfjordtunnel. It was constructed from 1965 to 1969, and is located, as you could see, in the northern part of Denmark. It's a part of the Trans-European road network, and it's a very important connection for traffic to Norway and Sweden. It's an immersed tunnel. It's 582 meters long, and it's divided into, as you can see, 2 tubes. Each pipe is 12 meters wide and have 3 lanes in each. Since its construction and opening 50 years ago, the traffic has increased from 29,000 to almost 100,000 cars today. So it's a high use factor. During the 50 years of operation, the tunnel has been equipped with a lot of mechanical and electrical systems, and appears today as a fully automated tunnel. It is operated 24 hours with an emergency preparedness. If and when we have a failure, the OMN contractor is reached through an SMS, and furthermore, it's monitored from the local police station. wherefrom you also can launch restrictions. We have adapted our organization to the requirements of the EU Tunnel Directive. We have an administrative authority and a tunnel manager, a safety officer, and of course also an inspection unit. I think this is very familiar to all of you. The tunnel manager and the safety officer are actually key figures in the safe operation of the tunnel. They lead and coordinate the various tasks, emergency preparedness, conduct the meetings with police, consulting engineers, suppliers, and contractors, and of course holding the required full-scale exercises as required also in the directive. Since the tunnel opening in 1969, we had a lot of leakages and cracks were observed, and we soon realized that the so-called waterproof membrane of the tunnel was not functioning properly. We got seawater leaking in through the cracks. We have settlements and cracks has been the main reasons for a lot of repairs, and this has been a challenge due to the traffic in the tunnel. Here we can see repair of tunnel ceilings by drilling stainless steel linings and mounting clamps and anchors and nuts up in the roof. After that, it has been covered with fire protection. And this is pictured from the rehabilitation. It has been complicated because we have to carry this out through the night, because during the day we have some peaks in the morning hours and the evening hours. So it's very, very expensive to run these operations with a tunnel in service. Here we have a summary of some of the major repairs during some 20 years of the lifetime. The most important has been replacement and installation of coating replacement and installation of 6 longitudinal tensions in the ballast concrete. But we have been carrying out a lot of works through the 50 years. Now let's go to the structural health assessment and see what was the main reason that we set down the expert group. We see here the cost of operating the tunnel through the years. The lower curve is the expected accumulated cost for operation and maintenance of the tunnel. The upper curve is the additional cost for the repairs, and you can see some big jumps: concrete repairs, joints, coating replacements. So in general, we can just conclude that operate and maintaining a tunnel is much more expensive than a bridge normally. What really made our concern was the settlements. Since the opening, we have been measuring the settlements, and you see here a picture of the recorded settlements. You have to the left Aalborg, the southern end, and you can see there are severe settlements in the northern end of the tunnel. The reason for that was when the tunnel was immersed or constructed, a lot of Goodyear was replaced by sand fill. So we have some very extraordinary geological conditions up there. Another reason for setting down the expert group was what you see here. This is the result of seawater dripping into the tunnel. So repair works, rising costs, settlements, and especially this dripping has been a major concern. A lot of our customers with cars, when they've been driving through the tunnel, they could see water dripping from the roof, and they could taste the water. Yes, it was salt water. So our tunnel manager, he quite often had to explain the current situation in newspapers and televisions. Yes, it is seawater. You don't have to worry. It's to stop and say, do we have a problem? Is the tunnel safe? Or for how long is it safe? So in 2016 to 17, the settlements reached a level where we couldn't wait anymore. So we have to do something. So we actually we settled an expert group, or selected a group carefully. International, we found a lot of experts. They have something in common. They were very, very bright. They could all write best in class on their curriculum vitae, and we brought those people together. The way we worked, we set down the geotechnical expert group first to verify the geotechnical conditions. And then we followed up by the structural expert group, and the structural group was followed by the geotechnical group the whole way. So we had a meeting where we explained the result from the geotechnical group to the structural group. Had a very, very pleasant meeting, site visit to the tunnel, where after we had a brainstorm, how we're going to solve this. So we organized the two parallel groups, and we followed this, or facilitated the group very, very intensely. I could say they worked brilliant together. No people from Germany, Holland, England, and Denmark. So it was really a pleasure to follow. The conditions assessment was fortunately that the tunnel was in a much better condition than we feared or expected. And you can see some of the main results here. However, it was the expert group strongly recommended us to keep the tunnel under increased observation with a high degree of monitoring, so we could follow the exposure to the water penetration and the chloride content of the construction. So all this has been followed by a structural health monitoring program, which we are setting up in the moment. And we are taking a large number of measuring equipment and measurements. And these measurements are going to continuously provide us with the information, so we can be able to assess the tunnel. The expert group came up with some very, very good proposals when to do something more significant than just the ordinary maintenance. We have a plan for an additional pre-stressing project. Within 15 years' time, you can see it up in the right end of my presentation. The blue lines is where we can install additional pre-stressing. There's a project for replacing the bearing blocks in the northern end. You can see a picture of the bearing block there, and you can see it's influenced very much by the extensions of the tunnel. The tunnel moves all the time and getting longer because all the cracks are filled with small parts of soil, so it's getting longer and longer every day. And the most the biggest retrofitting project is active horizontal compensation grounding, scheduled for year 2064. It's a very exciting program. Installation of a big cofferdam and some horizontal grouting under the tunnel in order to lift the tunnel. I could say from my side, this is a very, very interesting project. But when I'm looking on my birth certificate, I'll not be able to participate at that time. I will more likely play soccer with Maradona and Pelé in heaven in those days. All this ended up with a plan for the next 50 years. So this is our maintenance plan. We will continue our basic operation. We will continue our structural health monitoring. In the basic operation, we will of course also update the structural health assessment plans regularly, because this is a look into the future, and it might change. There's a lot of things that can come in, but we will frequently update the assessments as well. And then we are ready for the major repairs. So this was the story about the Limfjord tunnel. And you are of course welcome to put questions for me or for the tunnel manager. You have the contact addresses down here. So that was what I could say from Denmark.
Well, thank you very much, Niels, for your excellent and technical presentation. I don't have any questions in my screen, but I have a question for you. I saw that you did compensation grouting. Was it already performed, or is it still to be done?
No, it's to be done in 40 years' time, in 2064.
Okay. But still then I saw quite some works that were done on the civil structure. And I asked myself, these experts which you involved, did you give them a boundary condition for doing the maintenance works? Because this is not a new tunnel, it's a tunnel in use. And of course, traffic should flow and availability is key. How did you manage that in your expert group? Because when they say, well, this needs to be done, the working methods can be important in this respect.
Yeah, one thing I didn't mention was the planning, because we have plans for an additional connections up in the north, and the timing is that we will install the next connection before we are doing the retrofitting project.
Yeah. So there was if I understand correctly, there was a time slot in which the works needed to be done.
The idea was to keep the tunnel in operation for at least 10 more years before we are doing something.
Yeah. Okay.
We can do a lot during the night hours still, but it will be much more expensive to do it before the new connection has been established.
Yeah. So actually, you want to extend the lifetime for a major shutdown within 2 years when the traffic pattern is updated and has more capacity. And in the meantime, you do everything in night works. Okay.
Yeah.
That's clear.
With a third connection, we can block one tube and still lead traffic through the other pipe.
Yeah.
So it gives us much more options.
Okay.
But the traffic is the main problem.
Yep. In the meantime, people can shift from this parallel session to other parallel sessions. Of course, I hope you will stay. And I will just continue talking with Niels about interesting things I saw in your presentation. But feel free to shift. Niels, I saw that in the future you are going to execute compensation grouting in your below the tunnel to improve the foundation. Is this to be done from the tunnel or is it done from the outside?
No, it's to be done from a cofferdam outside the tunnel.
Okay.
So we should be able to do it with the tunnel in operation.
Okay, that's excellent.
But that's the last retrofitting project, and it will of course be assessed further before we are setting that into force.
Yeah. There is still sufficient time to prepare that, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, at that time, I'll play soccer in heaven, as I told you.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. I don't think it's done before, so
No.
I would be really eager to know more details, because immersed tunnels, some of them have settling problems as well here in the Netherlands. Yep. We still have time. Brenda is in a moment starting her presentation on the structural health analysis process. When you look back at the structural health analysis that was done on Limfjord, what could be points of improvement in your opinion?
I think it was carried out in a very, very good way.
Okay.
A thing I would highlight actually was the involvement from our side, because we was not just putting this contract to a consulting company. We were participating and collecting data and such thing, and was taking part in it. So it gives us much more ownership to the plan.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think the involvement of the owner, a strong involvement, is very, very important.
Yeah. So that's an important lesson. Involvement of the tunnel owner.
Yeah.
Well, I think we still have some time, or we don't. So I think we should shift to Brenda Berghout. She will give the second presentation of this parallel session. Brenda, please go ahead.